Now, it's been more than 3 months since the Taliban took Kabul, during which a mass release of prisoners took place across Afghanistan. Hundreds of female Afghan judges remain in hiding after fleeing from the very men they sent to prison for violent crimes against women. However, in the past few weeks, there has been hope with the successful evacuation of 26 female judges to Greece. The BBC's Zahona Karga, who herself fled Afghanistan during the first Taliban takeover in the 1990s, went to meet them. For their security, all the names of the judges have been changed.
It was the worst moment of my life. When I looked at my kids whilst leaving our country, I wondered whether I would ever get them out of Afghanistan alive.
Under cover of darkness, Nabila stepped onto a bus. She was once one of the most influential women of our country, but now she was fleeing for her life.
It was so hard traveling at night by bus through the desert, especially with small children.
After weeks of living in fear, finally, along with 25 other prominent women, Nabila and her young family safely arrived in Greece. Living in small apartments across the city, the Greek authorities provide all these women with food and shelter. Shukriya is one of the most senior among the group. For her, she says, it's like history repeating.
This is the second time we have experienced a Taliban takeover. I was a judge when they first came to power. Back then, first to be ousted from society were female judges.
Do you think the fight for equality for Afghan women is over?
The women of Afghanistan are not the women of 20 years ago. Those women who protested when the Taliban first arrived, asking for their rights, asking for an education. Today, every daughter of our country is on her feet.
Everyone I've met here reminds me of myself more than 20 years ago, how me and my family left Afghanistan. But I see a clear difference among the older and the younger generation of women. The older one have seen Taliban come and go before. But for the younger one, it's still a shock and they seem more hopeless. Nargis is one of the new generation of female judges.
There are two things which cause me the most pain. One is the family I left behind. The other is women, like me, who are working, and girls who want to study. This bothers me the most.
On the return of women to work and all girls to school, the Taliban say they are working on a plan, but need time to ensure their security. However, the women here say they do not trust the Taliban.
Now in Afghanistan, it will be impossible for women to progress whilst the Taliban are in power and to hold on to all they've achieved in the past 20 years.
Zarghuna Kargar, BBC News, Athens.
And joining us now live in the studio is Zahona Karga. Great to have you with us. I wonder if you can tell me how many female judges are still in Afghanistan, presumably in hiding and in fear for their lives.
Yeah, there are still more than 100 female judges, including senior ones and junior ones, with their families living in hiding across Afghanistan. It is a heartbreaking situation for them because they can't go out of their homes, they can't speak openly about what they did, they are haunted by criminals. I was speaking to two of them that we spoke on World News about a few weeks ago when they were in hiding in Kabul. Luckily, those two have managed to have been evacuated last week to Greece. But they are still, they are so worried about their colleagues, their friends who were, or their fellow female judges who are still living in fear for their life.
And if they were to leave Afghanistan, which I appreciate from what you've just said is actually a big if, what happens to their families? Can they go with them?
One of the issues, some of the younger judges were telling me that it's very difficult for single women to leave families behind. to go abroad without their families. So they have chosen to stay in Afghanistan because culturally it's a very big deal for an Afghan woman to go abroad without a man in the family or without their parents or without their family members. So they were told that their families could not be evacuated. They stayed behind, still living in fear. But some who were with young children, young families, and their husbands, they have managed to be outside Afghanistan now.
I have been reading about protests on the streets of Kabul by women. Yes. How much difference might they make?
As an Afghan woman, Rebecca, I think seeing them on the street just gives you a little bit glimmer of hope. Even though when I see them on the street, I fear for their security. But not much has changed so far. But keeping their voice alive, keeping their faces in public, that I think gives a lot of hope to the ones who have left Afghanistan, who are in Afghanistan, because there should be someone who stand up for them. I know many Afghan women who have left, many politicians, female politicians, they are mobilizing from outside Afghanistan to fight for their rights. As you heard one of the judges, she said, we are not going to let our 20 years achievement just go by like that. So they are mobilizing, they are going to fight, but just seeing them on the street gives some hope to women, to younger girls who are banned from school, who are going through a very dark moment of their life.
And clearly you'd be the first to say this is not about you, it's about the women, but I know you must have known these women over the years. How difficult is this for you?
It is a very emotional. When I met them in Greece, it was very emotional meet, because especially the senior ones, in the last 20 years, I've been speaking to them on women's rights issues. They were defending rape victims. They were defending women who wanted divorce. So there is a clear vacuum now in justice system in Afghanistan for women. And it is just so heartbreaking to see them just lost everything and living in very empty flats in Greece.
Zona Karga, we've got to leave it there, I'm afraid. Thank you so much, though. Thank you.
It's okay.